Have you ever felt clueless on what to do about an oncoming typhoon? Have you ever panicked on what to do during an earthquake? Or have you ever worried about accidentally causing a fire in your house? Well, I hope this video can solve some of your worries. Since today, in this video, I will be discussing on 10 approaches on disaster risk reduction and management. First, we need to know what disaster risk reduction and management actually is. Disaster risk management is the application of disaster risk reduction policies and strategies to prevent new disaster risks, reduce existing disaster risks, and manage residual risks. Now that we have an idea on what DRRM actually is, I can explain the details of the video. The video will contain 5 disasters with 2 approaches for each of them. The first kind of disasters we'll be talking about are typhoons. The Philippines has an average of 20 typhoons a year, which is why it is desperately needed to be prepared for this kind of disaster. That is why our first approach is going to be staying updated and alert.
A typhoon progress is tracked and posted online for us to be alert.
Staying updated and alert of an ongoing typhoon is very helpful so you can know when it is gonna strike your area to which you can appropriately plan for. This directly connects with our second approach, which is creating a family emergency plan. Creating a family emergency plan is very helpful for you and your family so all of you can be ready and prepared for a typhoon. The process of creating a family emergency plan includes planning where to evacuate, packing an emergency supply kit with food, water, medicine, and more, knowing what to do in case your family gets separated, and many other steps you can do to ensure you are safe and prepared. The next kind of disasters we'll be covering are house fires. House fires can start from very little, but can turn real bad real fast. Which is why your first approach should be learning the basics of fire safety education.
Learning how to use a fire extinguisher and turning your cooking appliances off when not used are the basics of fire safety education.
Knowing the basics of fire safety education is the first step of managing disaster risk from a house fire. For example, knowing how to use a fire extinguisher can help in worst case scenarios in when a fire has broken out. And also, turning off your cooking appliances like stoves when they are not being used is key as well, as cooking accidents are a very common cause of house fires. Next, our second approach to house fires is keeping flammable materials safe. Keeping flammable materials like butanes, lighters, and matchsticks away from open fires and cooking appliances is very helpful into not starting an accidental fire. In this video, I may have only put the butane away from the stove, but it is much more recommended to store it in a storage compartment where it is far more secure. The next kind of disasters we'll be talking about are earthquakes. Earthquakes are very sudden and can catch you off guard. Here are some approaches on how to handle them. Our first approach is securing your heavy items. Securing heavy items is a great way to prevent any further disaster happening during an earthquake. It also helps for the heavy items to not fall from the shaking and to not cause any head injuries or, in worst cases, a casualty. Next, our second approach is to practice drop, cover, and
You
hold.
may have heard of drop, cover, and hold as it was taught to us in earthquake drills in school. Here's the demonstration. Drop, cover, and hold.
The drop, cover, and hold method is a simple and effective way on how to handle an earthquake. It is to drop to the ground, cover your head, and hold on to the nearest stable furniture like a table. The next kind of disaster we'll be covering is a drought. Droughts are very common in the Philippines, especially in the dry season. These are two approaches on how to handle them. Our first approach is conserving your water.
Water is scarce and needs to be conserved. This is some ways to conserve water.
Using less water in basic tasks such as washing the dishes is a simple but effective way of conserving your water in a drought. And also, turning off water faucets when not used is a great and simple way to conserve and also to not waste valuable water in a drought. Our second approach is to minimize your time outside in the afternoon.
Afternoon is when the sun is at its hottest. This is why we should minimize our time during the afternoon.
The afternoon is the hottest time of the day, specifically between 12 to 2 p.m. We should minimize our time outside in the afternoon during a drought as to not suffer from skin burn or possibly suffer a heat stroke. Our next and final kind of disasters are household accidents. Household accidents can range from cuts, choking, burns, allergic reactions, and more. Here are 2 ways to handle those kinds of hazards in your household. Our first approach is having a readily available first aid kit in your house.
Having a readily available first aid kit is very helpful in case someone in your house gets injured or sick.
Having a readily available first aid kit is very helpful into treating accidents that might happen like cuts, burns, or allergic reactions. Our second approach is to store and secure dangerous and sharp objects.
Such as knife can harm kids, which is why we should store them properly.
Storing sharp and dangerous objects such as knives and scissors in a secure place is very helpful to prevent any accidental cuts or injuries that may happen when it is placed carelessly. This is especially important if there are children in your house, as they are naturally curious and might play with it, possibly causing unwanted injuries. I hope you've learned something helpful today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for my members for helping out. Make sure to share this with your family and friends. And also, make sure to slice that like and subscribe button. That is all. Thank you and goodbye.